Yeah. So I don't know exactly where things are right now with immigrant church and trends. I think, the immigrant shifts are changing a little bit, the immigrant waves. But I know from my experience in the immigrant church, the biggest contention with their kids has always been the cultural gap, whether that's generational, language, but there's a huge cultural gap always between the immigrant parent and the American born and raised kids. And what I would often run into with those parents, or I guess deal with those parents, is they would lament the fact that their kids are growing up in a culture so different from them. So the understanding was hard across that generational and culture gap. But there was also a sense of, how do they raise their kid when they don't fully understand them? How do they raise their kid in a way where they hold on to their cultural heritage? And I think to those parents, I would say, as hard as that is, the time taken to cross that cultural gap with their kid is one that gives their kids a huge advantage when it comes to navigating life in our current world, but I think also a spiritual advantage. And I guess what I mean by that is, as we're looking at trends right now, demographically and even spiritually with Christianity in America, there's a huge shift that's been happening over the last 5 to 10 years where teens today, young people today, are no longer in a white majority culture. Gen Z, the generation born from 1995 to 2012, however you shake that down, is about 49% white. And so they're now minority population. Along with that, Christianity's been in the decline for a while. The fastest declining segment of the church on American soil is the white evangelical church, whereas the fastest growing segment of Christianity are the Protestant churches of color. And there's this book written in 2014 by Soong-Chan Rah called The Next Evangelicalism, where he basically says the future of the American church is going to look non-white, non-Christendom entrenched, basically not just assuming Christian subculture. And he gives this great call to the minority Christians in his book, or in America through his book, to rise up to this challenge or this call to basically lead the charge of Christianity in America in the next generation. And towards the end of his book, I love what he says. He says the third culture kids, the ones who have had to learn how to straddle the American majority culture and their home culture, but yet don't quite feel at home in either. Those are the ones that are best poised to handle the complexities of culture today. They're also the ones that are best poised to discern what does faith look like in this iteration and generation. And so for the parents of those kids, when we think about these struggles between parent and child, we see conflict and there's often pain points. But I think the positive is we can see that these conflicts and pain points are actually raising and training our kids to handle with dual or tri-cultural narratives. And so for the immigrant parent, or honestly, even the Asian American parent that's maybe a second gen raising a third gen, I think it's a good thing to feel that sense of lament or longing for our kids to want to hold on to their home culture, not fully understanding what it's like for them in this host culture. And yet the more that we can do whatever we can as parents, or you can as parents, to impart that culture to them, you can really lift them up and set them up to be the next generation of businessmen, professionals, leaders, and Christian leaders that can, I think, bring about, maybe in the negative, a reckoning, but I think in the positive, a revival in American Christian soil. And so there's a lot of hope, and I think there's a lot of, for me, excitement when I look at the Asian and Asian immigrant church, and especially the parents and families, of how much hope and excitement they can have for their next generation, even if it doesn't look the way they may want it to look, but imparting, passing the baton on, so to speak, to their kids as they grow into adulthood.